going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We almost had some sound issues there, but we got them fixed. If you've never been here before, this is a live show, so anything can go wrong. Remember, you can always follow us over on marfooglenews.com and actually sign up for our email alerts and get notifications directly from us. If you're new here and have never been, we make sure to have a bibliography of every single episode that we do. That means every single article, picture, tweet, video, document that we show you here is going to be over on our website. Now, it's very easy to navigate. You just look for today's thumbnail. The truth is out there 95%. Distract and destroy. Once you click on that, it will bring you to every single article, tweet, video, picture, document out there. That way you have access to exactly where we got this information, and you have all of the sources. That way you know exactly where this came from. Now, once you hit a yellow bar down below, that is your overflow content. That is the stuff that we couldn't fit in the show, that is too far to one direction or too hot for TV. So make sure to go check that out. There's an entire other show down there. Today, we're going to go over a ton of stuff in a short amount of time. We're going to try to make up for being late and, again, fly through a lot of this. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So thank you, everybody, for popping in already. I appreciate it. Over about 1,000 right there. And it looks like more people are piling in as we speak. So thank you guys for sharing this out and hitting that like button. That helps us out a ton. Lauren Peterson, Kevin Toohey, thank you for subscribing. Stephen McMahon, thank you for being the last one out last time. Thank you so much. And then, of course, let's get into it. 5,000 U.S. flights canceled or delayed Friday after one of the worst summer air travel days yet. Travelers are facing a second day of misery at airports across the country. More than 1,200 U.S. flights were canceled as of 3:30 p.m. Eastern Friday, with about 4,100 more posting delays, according to FlightAware, which track flights in real time. The headaches come on the heels of one of the worst travel days yet as peak summer vacation season heats up. More than 1,750 U.S. flights were canceled on Thursday. Nationwide, American Airlines and Delta Airlines have the most cancellations by far, with the schedules reduced to 8% and 6% respectively on Friday. Those numbers do not include flights on their regional affiliates, which operate as American Eagle and Delta Connection. The vast majority of that is weather-related. So they're saying that they are at 6 to 8% of what they're normally at because of weather. Dex, this sounds kind of extreme. I know that we have droughts and heat and everything else, but how are they canceling so many flights over this? It seems like something else is going on here.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, when you get a number this big, it's kind of it makes news. But I think if you were a business traveler, you probably understand that this is happening a lot more than what it used to do. It used to be, flights ran on time. But now there's so many cancellations happening all the time, sometimes for weather, sometimes they just claim it's weather. But anybody that's, that has to, fly for a living, they'll probably tell you that flying this year, or in this recovery, if you want to call it that, is miserable compared to where it was pre, right? So it's definitely there's definitely something going on. It's probably a combination of staffing, probably a combination of technical issues, and probably some little bit of a combination of weather. It's real easy for them to blame
it could
weather
be
because
hacking.
they can do that. It certainly could, absolutely, but it's easy for them to blame weather because then everybody just says, "Oh, okay," nobody looks any further. Like, don't look here; it's just weather.
Yeah. So even if it's 100, I mean, I'm not going to quote. There could be a 125-degree day out there somewhere in the country. But we're talking about canceling because of hot weather, and I guess there are storms. There are storms around the country, as there always is, but I'm just surprised. That's a huge chunk. That's 92 to 94% of all of their flights were canceled today. What in the world is going on? Yeah, I mean, am I reading that wrong? It says that they are at 6% to 8% of what they normally are. I mean, that doesn't.
No. They're reduced by that amount. That's not how much they're at. No. But it's still a lot, right? I mean, 5,000 flights canceled is usually there's an event that goes along with that, right?
That's way different story. But still,
but still, it is still an issue. And this is not the first time I've heard this. I've heard this for weeks now that people are just complaining, especially in the summer season, because travel is so high, right? Everybody is potentially traveling. Of course, prices have gone through the roof, but at the same time, we're not able to maintain and keep things up. At least we're keeping things in the air when they're supposed to be in the air and on the ground when they're supposed to be on the ground. At least that part's not a problem. But actually keeping schedules seems to be very difficult right now.
Well, again, so I'm glad that it's not that, but 1,100 flights was a big deal, and this is 1,750 on Thursday, 4,100, so over 4,000. 1,100 was a big deal when they got hacked, and they said that was weather related, and then it ended up coming out that they were hacked. So it's pretty big that we have over basically 6,000 flights between 2 days that were canceled, and they're saying it's weather related. Do you believe it's all weather related, or do you think something else is going on? People are calling out. Remember, back when they were forcing everybody to get a certain thing, that's when a lot of these cancellations happened before, but I don't know if they're even pushing that as hard as they were, or if they are still pushing that, most of the people kind of got filtered out. People lost their job. We had Marfoogle family members that lost their jobs because they weren't going to do a certain thing that is now mandatory at certain places. Which, again, that's a whole other thing. But what they did was they lied. They said that it was because of this and that and weather and all of that. And then everybody, even weathermen were saying, that doesn't make too much sense. At that time, there was like no storms. There was no bad anything. And they said it was all weather. And then they got hacked. As far as, I don't know if it was American Airlines. I want to say it was Alaska. Alaska got hacked, and all these other ones got hacked, and they lied. Of course, they don't want to say anything because, of course, people, you don't want to mess up the market, right? And then leaked Amazon memo warns the company is running out of people to hire. It says that unions might not be the tech giant's biggest labor threat. Apparently, they're running out of people to get to work for them. Amazon is facing a looming crisis. It could run out of people to hire in the U.S. warehouses by 2024, according to a leaked Amazon internal research from mid-2021. That Recode reviewed. It says if that happens, that the online retailer's service quality and growth plans could be at risk, and its e-commerce dominance along with it. Raising wages and increasing warehouse automation are two of the 6 levers that Amazon could pull to delay this labor crisis by a few years. So pay attention to that part. Again, it says warehouse automation, again, could be put in as one of those levers. It says it could delay this labor crisis by a few years, but only a series of sweeping changes to how the company does business and manages its employees will significantly alter the timeline, Amazon staff predicted. So just to put that into context there, automation. They're talking about, oh, well, if we can't hire people, we will start replacing them with automated machines. As far as the warehouse workers that normally separate and do all these things, they're probably paying somebody right now to come up with very specific robots to actually replace that. Now, you see that in assembly lines for cars and things like this. A ton of stuff has been now replaced by automated robot kind of work lines. But this is on a big scale. If they say, oh, this is going to affect us, then they're going to go into hyperdrive, start replacing people, and then start realizing, well, wait a second, these robots, they don't need, we don't need to deal with their union. We don't need to deal with their life insurance. We don't need to deal with their L&I claims. We'll just start replacing them all. Which isn't possible yet, but we are looking at what is going on with technology and how fast, breakneck speeds it's gone forward. Now we're talking about actual robots that can replace a human. That is what is in the next couple of years, or at least come close, especially with simple tasks. So it says the report warned that Amazon's labor crisis was especially imminent in a few locales, with internal models showing that the company was expected to exhaust its entire available labor pool in the Phoenix, Arizona metro area by the end of 2021, and in the Inland Empire region of California, roughly 60 miles of Los Angeles, by the end of 2022. How they do that, I guess there's always going to be people that need work. So I guess maybe it's because they're saying the people that are qualified to do the job and don't have any of the kind of process of elimination problems. All right, and then I do want to say thank you to everybody that popped in. By the way, I just want to let you know my computer on the search bar, not even of like Google, has this... I think it's Windows 10. I think the new Windows has updated so that little search bar, which you can usually type in like my PC, now has a triangle rainbow shooting through it, and it's built into that search bar. And I can't. It's been changing the last couple of days, and I'm like, what the heck? Apparently, they have all these different things now. That's going to be changing. It's just been so many different weird things, but I'm like, How can they do that without asking? They're just like altering PCs now. Okay, and then I do want to say thank you. Let's see here. Let's go over. Thank you, everybody that has popped into chat. We have a ton of new people here tonight. Thank you guys for popping in. Me Speaking 75, thank you for doing a super thanks, and says thanks for sharing truth on the last show. Of course, those super thanks are done on the replays, so thank you guys for supporting Independent. It is really awesome you are actually able to do so now. That was on Slow Motion Collapse. On Skyfell Pending, I forgot to call out Billy Leather says thanks. And then Bones and Tubbs Show on Skyfall Pending says, I wish there was a way to support every show automatically via fake fiat withdrawal. Love you guys. Stay strong, fam. Yes, that's funny. Yeah, fake fiat withdrawal, the money that has no backing. And then Stephen McMahon, thank you for massive support this week and in general. I appreciate you and Ninja Squirrel, last show, and then Irish Rebel and everybody else that has popped in. By the way, I popped in to Survival Living's stream last night. If you haven't checked that out, make sure to go do so. It was at like 1:30 in the morning, and I actually just woke up from a huge explosion. There was an explosion near me that rocked the house, and there was no explanation for it. So very, very odd. Irish Rebel, thank you so much. Again, thank you for the massive support. Always try to write something in there. I feel like then I at least have something, or shout out somebody. You shout out a good company or something. Thank you, Irish Rebel. Thank you for supporting Independent. All right, and then let's move on. We've got few workers. Let's see here. Okay, we're on the right one. I sent agents to see if there were aliens at Area 51, and scientists tell me we are not alone. This is, of course, Bill, husband of Hillary, saying this. And this is pretty crazy because, obviously he's getting older and some of the other stuff that is attached to him. I personally think that this is kind of a big distract and destroy. This is going to get people talking at the water coolers. It's something safe that people can talk about and get distracted by. It says that Mr. Bill admitted he sent agents to Area 51 as he wanted to know if there was aliens on the base. That sounds like really stupid, but again, he was the president at the time. It says also revealed scientists told him that they are 95% sure that humanity is not alone in the universe. Meanwhile, a lot of folks that actually study it out there, they're actually more close to 100% because if they're going off of what they say, it's an infinite and it's ever expanding and there's billions, if not trillions of planets just like our own. It says that Bill, 75 years old, was speaking about traditionally fringe topic on the Late Late Show as discussions about UFOs take center stage in Washington. Strange phenomenon in the sky was once a realm of conspiracy theorists, but now the U.S. lawmakers and intelligence officials are taking the topic seriously as a national security concern. It says U.S. officials have admitted that there were objects in the sky which they do not understand, which are now more commonly called unidentified aerial phenomena. Think about just 20 years ago, if this kind of thing popped up, people would be laughing at this. People would be absolutely embarrassed. But now this is something that is now on a daily basis. Now Congress and Senate are talking about this, and what they are talking about it as if is that there is some sort of possible threat in the sky. That's exactly what they're saying, that these things flying above are a possible threat to our actual security. When you kind of go down a couple rabbit holes, you'll see that for years this has kind of been predicted that some sort of alien presence would be detected, and then all of a sudden it would be this force that everybody unites under and tries to fight against, or at least that's what people would think what was going on, and possibly in reality we would all fall in line because there was some sort of massive threat above us. That's why there's a lot of talk, if you go down the whole of Project Bluebeam and other things like that, which personally, I think Project Bluebeam is outdated now. They probably have crazier technology that could do a better job. But this is pretty crazy to hear a former president saying that they're 95% sure that aliens are real. Dex, what did you think when you saw this?
Well, his quote is, he said there were no aliens living there. Or there. So I'm wondering if that was maybe a spin on the fact that maybe they were there at one time and they're not anymore, but he couldn't say it. I don't know. There's always a lot of questions about this, and it's been in plenty of movies, plenty of books. There's been plenty of people that say they've been there and seen it. And we'll probably never know the truth until they open it up. And even when they do that, I don't think we would know the truth. And even if he sent people there, something in my mind tells me there's people above him that would prevent that type of access even to a president if they, thought it was that important and they operated that way. It would not surprise me if there's not some sort of shadow system in place there that is doing whatever it is they're doing.
Well, do any of you think that the president is actually in charge? And if so, what president was in charge and what presidents aren't, right? Because honestly, many people do not believe the current one is actually in charge, and for kind of good reason. I'm not trying to knock down on the whole debate about who I support. What I am saying is there is a huge debate whether he is in charge because of actual events that have happened. Him being told to be quiet. How do you tell a president to be quiet, or how do you tell a president you're not going to speak anymore? Who is calling the shots? Most people that are somewhat awake know that there are actual forces and people above the president, and there are families that own pretty much everything. There are groups. There, of course, are the builders that are very big that just met recently and made decisions about our future, which no one knows pretty much anything about. So this is definitely something that I would put in the distraction category, but that's just my personal opinion. What do you guys think it is? Tell me in the comments below. Bible Talk 777 says, I'm fighting chimp bubbles. I saw a couple engaged in risky behavior, so I sprayed them with a water hose and said, stop that. Bible Talk, you remind me of somebody who's not here much anymore, but I'm trying to think of their screen name. They were here for about a year and a half, and they always made the funniest comments. Lauren Peterson, MSC, Ninja Squirrel, again, thank you. So Ninja Squirrel, I missed a comment on the last show talking about that mystery plane, and Ninja Squirrel says plane was escorted. The police were late on purpose. Yeah, there's still a lot of weird stuff, and then I saw some stuff on Twitter about a potential video that was put out and then deleted on that video. Like it was at that, whatever, the abandoned place, and someone living nearby was like, hey, look at that plane. It's landing at the abandoned airfield. And then all of a sudden that video was gone. And the plane actually looked like a 10-seater bigger plane. So I don't know if that's possible, but it was deleted and the account was removed. So I thought that was kind of funky, or at least that's what everybody's talking about. So thought that was kind of interesting. And then once something's deleted like that, it's just gone. What actually happened with that plane? It flew over 6 NATO countries. And then before we talk about extreme record-challenging heat to make a comeback in north-central U.S., I do want to remind you the ship date is getting closer and closer. So a lot of folks went over to the Energy website and they saw that there was a waiting list. In fact, this has components in it made all over the world, but some of them are actually made in G-land, and unfortunately, that is because some of the components made in lithium and everything else directly comes, and everyone in the world is dependent on certain places in the world for. So there was a waiting list, and that waiting list is almost over, and now it is definitely picking up. The thing is this is a solar generator that is absolutely flexible. It is one of the coolest things out there because it is silent, it does not take gas, and it can be, of course, powered by the sun. And on top of that, you can extend it. So again, if you want one battery and you want, a day to 3 days of power, whatever you want, you can do that. If you want 10 days worth of power, you can do that. It can be extended up to 96 batteries. So you can essentially make a wall the size of, a 10 by 10 wall of batteries if you like. Again, that's the cool part about this, is that it is that flexible. On top of that, they've made special mod boxes that go in between that can actually triple the input. So instead of 4 panels plugged in, you can actually plug in 12. That would triple the amount. It would cut the charging time in a third, which is absolutely unheard of. It's amazing. So make sure to go over there, marfooglenews.com/energy. On top of that, on top of getting closer to that ship date, now you actually have a $170 discount on it. So again, great, $170 on certain packages. Again, make sure to go over and use the code Marfoogle, and you will get a savings. All right, that is marfooglenews.com/energy with an INERGY. When you guys go do that, you are supporting our independent channel, and you are getting something that will not only be of extreme use, make your life convenient during any blackout, but again, it's something that every prepper really should have, whether it be gas or solar. The coolest part, though, is it's silent. Nobody's going to hear you from 3 blocks away, especially if SHTF happens. You're not going to want that. All right, and then Dex, do you want to talk about this? Because you've been experiencing more of the extreme weather than I have. You've had storms. You've had all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think most of America, except for you, because you're just in the fortunate little cold corner up there, has dealt with this last heat wave. I mean, it was massive. We lost cattle in Kansas. We've had, huge power consumptions in Texas. It's worked its way across, and up the Northeast. But even down here in the South, I think our heat indexes were hitting about 103, 105 here where I live. Which is really hot. It's not something you really want to enjoy, especially if you don't have electricity, which some people don't. When there's a storm that comes through, I know some people down the street from me right now from 2 nights ago still without power with these 90+ degree temperatures and 100+ degree heat indexes. Well, guess what? We get to do it again. So apparently there's another wave of this coming through where I guess the heat comes in. I'm not a weather guy, but if you look at the images here, it shows you how the way the heat's coming up from the south, and it's going to go straight into the eastern west, Midwest area. And that's going to go, again, from east to west, and everybody will get one more blast of this heat. And as they predicted, this summer, we're bound to have more of this. I don't know how they're able to predict that, but they were predicting it, and they were saying, everyone, not just California, get ready for rolling blackouts. So, here we go again, more heat, more excessive use of electricity for cooling and stuff like that. So just be prepared. It's not over.
And like we said, we warned you, they telegraph this kind of stuff, and they do it quietly so they can say that they said something about it. We don't know what's truly behind this, whether there is some sort of guy with the switch that's turning on the heat or not. But again, everybody has their own opinion on that. But what we do know is that this extreme heat in these places that aren't ready for it, one, is going to cause people perishing, and two, it's going to put a huge strain on the grid. As they said, they're matter-of-factly in that NERC report, they have a map that's incredibly similar to this that was put out months ago that shows the potential outcome of all of this kind of event. And it's saying that this is a guaranteed, essentially. Look at that NERC report and then tell me if media covered that properly, because it didn't. They're basically saying they know that the grids are going to have problems, and the grids are going to have problems in places that normally don't. So be careful. Get your fans and things. If you still have fans on your shelves at your local, big box retailer, try to grab them. And I personally recommend get the better ones if you can, because you can buy 3 of the cheap fans, and it won't equal one of like the tornado ones. But yeah, I've gone through that. I've bought the cheap $10 fans, and that's usually because I was late. Here we don't have this crazy weather. Last year, 118-degree day. Absolutely mind-blowingly hot. This is extreme weather. And by the way, we've seen these science fiction, movies with this in it. Now we're living in one. We're going to see more and more of this, or at least that's what they're saying, and it's coming true. That's the thing. They always say a whole lot, right? They always predict a whole lot of things. Normally, they're not so correct. Over the last 5 years, everything we've covered that has been about the drought and extreme weather has actually been correct. Now, not to debate over what is causing it, it's happening. And unfortunately, we are the people that are the victims. We, normal civilians, are getting their power just stripped from them. So be ready for rolling blackouts in places that don't normally have rolling blackouts, like Ohio and like Michigan and like everywhere else that their grid is already strained. And then Julian Assange faces U.S. extradition after UK approves transfer. WikiLeaks founder Julian should be sent to the U.S. to face criminal espionage charges, or at least the British government ruled. Assange now has 14 days to launch an appeal against the decision, which he will be extradited across the pond, where he will face spying charges. He is wanted by U.S. authority on 18 counts, including espionage. Of course, he released a ton of information. Sorry about that. I guess we'll see what happens with this. Dex, do you think something is going to happen before? Here's a prediction. He gets something mysterious happens to him, or he has a mysterious illness before it happens.
Well, I think it's a shame, because we're dealing with basically a member of the press who was releasing information given to them. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And if this becomes the precedent that says, okay, now we have prosecuted people in the press that release information that's given to them, then is espionage going to be used from this day forward against the press, right? I think that's what a lot of people are worried about when they look at this case. Now, I don't know the details, like the granular details of what the prosecution team may have and what they think. Like, did he literally go into computers in the government and take information? Well, that's different. But if it's just Manning grabbing information on their own and then turning around and handing it outside to someone in the press, and then that person publishes it, the press should be, free of harm. That's the way it's written in our Constitution. That's the way it should be. And it's been upheld that way for a long time. So if this changes, it's a kind of a big deal. And I don't think a lot of people, I know a lot of people have paid attention to it because of what's been released, right? But a lot of people need to look at it from the legal aspect of it as well, and what precedent this will set if it actually happens the way they want.
Well, look at what they're
the elites in charge want to happen.
Well, look at what they've done with with the cancel culture. Do you think cancel culture came out of nowhere? Cancel culture didn't really exist 10 years ago. I mean, if it would be extreme. If you did something absolutely horrid, yes, you would be, I guess, canceled. But now with social media being prevalent, it doesn't matter where you look. You are a hated person once you get on that list. And no one will touch you. Once you're burned on social media, you're burned. With that being created, that means journalists who do the same thing, or if they take information, publish it, all of a sudden they can turn 1 million bots towards them in a negative fashion, and then it will just snowball and you cancel somebody out. Even if they are doing something legal, they can cancel people now. It's like that system was created so they could silence anyone. That is my opinion. Again, on this, it's almost like, now so many different laws have been put in, so many different executive orders, so many different little changes. Who knows? Now, maybe this will go through, and if it does, it's going to be a huge deal. It could change our entire lives in how everything works. Like you said, if you're not able to, if journalism changes fundamentally, Dex.
Well, and I'm also very surprised, and I know this is late because I've talked about this years ago, but I'm also very surprised the last administration didn't actually pardon this, right? And didn't just go ahead and make this thing in the clear. Now, it could be that they actually have intel and information, like I said, that really is espionage as opposed to, freedom of the press. But if it is truly just what most people see it as, which is freedom of the press, I'm shocked it wasn't done by the last administration.
Well, I mean, look at the last administration. I mean, look at how much they don't have to have proof against you to go after you for something. They'll just keep digging until they do, or they'll just make up things. So, I mean, that's what happens. Leaked audio from 80 internal TikTok meetings shows that the U.S. user data has been repeatedly accessed from Xi's country. Big surprise, people. We said this back when it was even before it was a question. When we found out who owned this, before there were multiple mainstream media outlets covering this, a year before that, we were talking about, well, who owns this? I said that. It's continually come up that, of course, everything from that country has had questions around it now. Especially in the last 2 years, they've had questions about the drones. They've had questions about their companies, about their phone companies, Huawei, or Huawei, or however you want to pronounce it. And then, of course, TikTok and all of these different apps that have homeland connections with the CCP. And now our data, which is on top of the other companies that are connected with harvesting our DNA, our facial recognition, all of our information, has now been accessed from G-Land. And remember, they kind of, Dex, didn't they sell it? Or it's like they said, well, we'll have people in the United States run it, and we'll have a whole different board and everything else. And that was to quell the fears of this, right?
Well, yeah, that was actually set up by the former administration that needed to be done, but then the new administration undid it. And
what the hell?
And now what's coming out is this is the exact type of behavior that inspired the former administration to do it. And guess what? They were right. Like, look, this data is actually being accessed by people in G's side of the country where they shouldn't be accessing the U.S. user data.
I didn't know they undid it. Did we cover that?
Yeah, it never got bought or sold, I should say, and set up with one of the U.S. companies. So I think that was one of the first things that might have been undone when the administration changed.
My God!
And I don't know if it was undone or just unenforced, but it was one of those two. But yeah, it sort of got shoved under the rug.
Everything that the previous administration did, people were cheering, and even if you hate the previous administration, don't you see, like, when the first day he came in and signed 50 million things that just undid things? Just take one example, the EMP stuff that he undid, and all of these other weird things that he undid that had no purpose, that both sides were actually for. But if he put his signature on it, they even said, they were like, we're going to try to undo everything he did. There were some good things, and even his most vitriol haters have to have seen that he did do some good stuff. And people have it's like such a debate whether people that hate him just say he did absolute no good. I really don't, I just can't handle that people can't at least admit there were some good things that were signed in that were done. Maybe they weren't even his idea. Maybe he was taking somebody's advice. He said, "Oh, that sounds like common sense," and put it in. Maybe it wasn't even him, but if he's attached to it, nobody likes it. Look at how they canceled him, deplatformed a sitting president. And then, of course, Border nabs 15 people on terror watch list in record-breaking May. We talked about this many, many times, and we showed you of course, we talked about the data that showed that it was like 1 in every 100 people from certain countries in the Middle East, I ran to the store, that, could have been sleeper cells from T cells like this. And now there's even more. From all over the world, there are people sneaking in. It says that the patrol agents nabbed 15 illegal immigrants listed on the FBI's T watch list, terror, trying to sneak across the U.S.-Mexico border in May, a month that also saw a record number of encounters, including, according to official figures. It says the possible bad guys were among the staggering 239,416 immigrants encountered at the southern border last month, according to a breakdown of Customs and Border Patrol. Figures first reported by the Washington Times and obtained by the Post. It's like, how many of you, and I'm gonna go to the chat, how many of you think that there is something very much like September of 2001, only 100 times bigger that's coming? I'm going to let everybody chime in on that. How many of you think that there is something bigger than September of 2001 on its way, and it might even be our own fault? Just insanity as far as what is happening there, and they've even admitted it's a broken system. It's pretty bad here. Dex?
Well, what bothers me is this is a number, and a reporting number is that of just encounters, right? So this is how many they've encountered. Out of the ones they've encountered, they found 15. I want to say it's 50 for the year if you add it up, and that's more than like the last handful of years at combined. I think last year and this year, basically the years of this administration, the number of these T's that have been grabbed is much higher than it's ever been before. Okay, obviously, maybe because there's easy access to just walk across. But the point being, if you're seeing 50 this year or 15 in the month of May, out of only the people they touched, we know the number and the stats out there. I just don't know off the top of my head, but it's hundreds of thousands over this time period that have not been touched. In other words, they got passed and didn't get picked up, because they don't grab everybody. It's a pickup truck with some, border agents and, 200 people coming across. They're lucky if they get, a handful of them, right? It's not like they get 100% of everybody coming across the border. So the real question is, take this percentage and apply it. If that's what they caught, 15 out of so many hundreds of thousands that they touched, how many hundreds of thousands did they not touch? Okay. And how many does that mean got through? Another 15 or 20, another 50 or 100? I don't know.
Well, and we saw this coming, and what is it? One patrol agent per 10 miles or something like that now. I mean, think about that. There are so many gaps. Why did they stop the wall? And I'm sorry, like, what was the reasonable kind of logical explanation for that? They said it was, didn't they say it was somehow racist? Is that, I don't, what is the logic behind that? You know how they used to have debate in school? Like, where's the debate that happens about this, and why aren't they looking at both sides and going, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense? I guess what is the problem? Every other country has a border. You have borders for a reason. I don't understand it. And then this is really mysterious. The Navy has fired a dozen leaders, but won't explain why. It says the Navy has fired nearly a dozen officers in leadership positions in less than 3 months, including 5 in 1 week, due to a loss of confidence in their ability to command. An unusual string of terminations across land, air, and sea teams, experts said. This is weird. Okay, this is freaking weird. Why so many in a short amount of time? Does anybody have any kind of connections from the Fugel fam? I would love for you guys to let me know in the comments below. Where does your mind go when you hear this? Why are they replacing so many leaders in the military? Is something about to change drastically? Do they need yes men? Do they need people that are completely just unattached, like they're just going to place whoever they need in there? Think about it. These are people that have been in forever. These are leaders. Most of these guys have been in the military their entire lives, and they are being replaced like that. Going back to the previous story, what the hell's going on? I have a bad feeling about this. Do you? Am I crazy for having a bad feeling about this? Because I really don't. I feel very uneasy about this entire thing. And before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, if you don't have long-term survival and prep as far as long-term survival food, there's really, really good reasons why you should. Again, I think every day is a reminder of what we've gone through over the last 3 years, and that's not even as bad as it gets. In fact, what that was over that last 2 years was nothing compared to if we actually have a real a really big one, right? Or if we have an event that no one is expecting, which again, people are going to think nothing's going to happen to us until it does. But even if it isn't an end of the world or an SHTF situation, there is definitely a ton of things heading our way, especially with the weather and everything else. These are good as far as long-term survival food, MREs, and things like this. These are good for week-long rolling blackouts. These are good for storms, quakes, hurricanes. It doesn't matter what ends up coming your way. Most places in the country, if not the world, have regional threats. So again, these are really good to have on hand, and with inflation and the prices going where they are, it is definitely better to get them today, yesterday, the day before, rather than tomorrow. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. You are not only helping a great channel and your favorite channel, hopefully, but you are also supporting yourself. You're getting backup food. You're going to have something you can physically hold on to for years. And you'll have a backup plan. So go to marfooglenews.com/prep. I shouldn't have to tell you why. You should be seeing the signs all around you where the world is headed, but again, that's up to you. There's also great stuff like water filtration, one of the best gravity-fed water filtration systems, the Alexa Pure Pro. It's an amazing system. It can do a whole lot of water all at once, and it can get rid of 99.9% of 206 contaminants, targeting heavy metals, lead, fluoride, chlorine, viruses, bacteria, pesticide, and pharmaceuticals. Make sure to head over and go there, and you will get $150 off if you get a 3-month supply. And we are working on the future too. We're trying to work on My Patriot Supply as well. We're going to work on some things for the future as well. Currently, right now, just want to remind everybody, if you only drop in or drop out, make sure to head over to the website right now on Off Grid. We have a current giveaway. Go over to marfooglenews.com, and we'll talk about it more right at the end of the show. But you can win a $380 Faraday bag that can actually protect your electronics. It's an amazing product. Make sure to go over and check it out. All right, and then let's see here. Xi launches high-tech aircraft carrier in naval milestone. Dex, I covered the last one as far as this aircraft carrier. Now it is officially launched. Is that correct?
Yes, they're officially launching it. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab a picture and put it in screener for you. 1 second.
And some on some on the Twitter, in the Twitterverse, which who knows, they could be bots, are saying that Xi actually waited until this was done before he did anything with Taiwan. I guess that's something we will see. By the way, on DLive, thank you, Karen from Columbus. Thank you, Tower Bear, Lisa K23. Hey, much love. Hey, thank you so much. And Texas Rob 49, thank you for gifting out badges to everybody, including Buster the dog. 100% Mo, thank you for being here, and definitely everybody owes Texas Rob a thanks over there. And then thank you, Forest Farmer, Equelte, and Sammy Lee for your anniversaries today. 1 year anniversary getting the badge, so that's awesome. Tesla 474, thank you as well for popping in. And then tons of new, I don't know if you guys are sharing me out or what, but thank you guys. New subscribers just popped in. Stephen Billings, thank you for subscribing. Ron and Rachel Cole, hey Adam, Asymmetrical Preparedness is trying to reach 30,000 subscribers. Maybe we can get him there. I will have to check out his channel, but I'm totally down to help any smaller creator or any larger creator. And again, 30,000, it looks like they've already been on the block. That's so weird, though. It's so weird how there'll be channels that will grow, and 30,000 is a big following. I don't know if they've changed their name, but it's weird how the algorithm hides us from each other. It's like, how do I not know about that channel, or do I? Did they change their name? Yeah, if it, I can't just place a, what do you call it, a endorsement on a channel I don't know off the top of my head, but I will certainly do so if it is any somewhat, if it's a good channel. And then Dex just put
Adam, if you want to grab
picture.
that picture. So they launched this type 003 carrier, and it's the reason it's a big deal is it's one of their first of the rather new generation of aircraft carriers. We've talked a little bit. We showed last week another one that was in dry dock that looks like it has some stuff going on with it. This is one that's rolling out in the water. So they had their big, celebration. They had it all, everybody excited about it. So, the main thing that is being talked about is that the capabilities of this ship is now one that is, rivaling the Western more modern versions of these aircraft carriers. So it is very significant milestone for them. Obviously, they're going to have fanfare no matter what it is, but it is specifically being talked about in the intelligence communities and others about what is the ship's actually capable of doing.
Okay, so Dex, did you see there's like warehouses built on that? Are those temporary, or is this specifically for releasing drones? Like, do you see that? Or is that behind? Wait a second.
That's temporary.
Okay, that's behind because okay. I'm going to ask everybody. Did it look like those buildings were actually built onto the deck, as far as how the lettering goes and how it's in the front like that? Is that like that's like an illusion, right? That building is behind the boat, I believe. Either way, that is an extremely advanced warship, and it would make way more sense if there's no building. But in my head, I was thinking they are saying that these new carriers are going to have dozens, if not hundreds, of these drones that can be piled in, stacked close, release unmanned, and then some of them it can actually take off. I believe the one that they're really trying to do, take off vertically, so they can actually pile on like 4 times as many, so they don't need a landing. They also don't need a takeoff. They can take off vertically and then fly. So that is a trip. It totally looks like those buildings are on there. All right, and I'm glad that other people
and they are on there. They're just temporary.
No, I think that they are behind it. I think that those buildings are on the dock behind it, and they're just really tall buildings, because they're shipbuilding buildings with like 40-foot
Here,
garages.
I'll give you another image from a different angle. It's in screener.
Okay, now you're going to really confuse me. Okay, let's see. Okay, so no, if those are built on there, that's weird. Why would they have those built on there? That reminds me of what they were doing, those buildings that were in the desert that they were testing the drones from, and they could release. Or what are they hiding underneath? Okay, so let's check out this other angle. Apparently those are on there. I'm so confused because you would need... Is this a drone carrier? No, that's... I grabbed the same one twice. Sorry about that. All right, so let's... All right, so this is the other angle. Okay. Well, I guess somebody in the Navy, can you explain why they would build that on there, and what is the purpose of even the temporary one? Or is that are those like temporary throw up the wall shacks so they can have a party inside of there? I still don't get that though. They could just put up they could just have a party out on the deck. But yeah, that's thoroughly confusing. And then
in one of the other pictures, Adam, sorry, it calls it bunting. I don't know what that means in that context, but it is bunting that's on its deck. So I'm assuming that's some sort of temporary structure for, the flags, colorful, writing and stuff is what it is typically used for.
G ships going up and down their country, not to us. I have a very bad feeling about them getting rid of men with honor and integrity just to put their puppets in place. Occam's razor, I agree with you. Why 12 leaders in a matter of 3 months? And these leaders have been there forever, and that's exactly why they don't want them there. Obviously the military is going through a lot of changes. They're going through kind of this evolution of getting into today. But that's still not enough reason to, and they said that they lost confidence. Why did they lose confidence in these guys? Or did they do what they did during, this whole witch hunt thing? And did they survey like who they supported or something and eventually got rid of them? It's weird. They replaced those men with lady bros. Don't worry. Let's see here. Change is an understatement at this point. Yeah. American Argonaut. Yes. Alfred K. Phillips says they are hiding something. I don't know if you're quoting on this, but bunting is colorful streamer. Oh, yeah. So, Dex, the streamers are the bunting.
No, the building's the bunting too. So what I just read, sorry, jumping in, they wrote on there, our country's third aircraft carrier launched into water named Fujian. That's what's written in the letter. So by putting up the temporary structure, they could put the writing all around it because they didn't want to write all over the ship. So that's what that, and by the way, when you look at some of the other images, it's only about a third of the ship. It's not, that ship's huge. And that the bunting or those buildings on top, as your structures you refer to on top, they're only taking up a very small section in the front where they have those banners written across them. And that's why they're there.
I get that, but they could put it up, why would they put up buildings for that instead of just putting up billboards or something, or I don't know, or putting it on the side of the ship? I guess they wanted, let's see here. They look like storage sheds. So Mark T, if you go look at what the U.S. is even doing, and with our drones, they have, in fact, it's weird. They have these two buildings like this, and they've been testing. They've launched. They can store hundreds of these things in a small amount of space because of how drones are. They can very, precisely land and go into this shed. I just wonder if there's thousands of weaponized, smaller drones even in there.
And there's one last image if you want it, Adam. It'll give you the top-down view so you can have perspective on what you're seeing.
And then, by the way, somebody said maybe they're getting rid of those leaders, or says they're obviously getting rid of those leaders because they are the deep state and they're the bad guys. Yeah, could be. Who knows? We will not know until we're hitting the side of the face with something. So But I will say this, I'm not expecting the next few years to go well. And that's not to be scary or to... That's from talking to military all over the world. And that is also from following this for 4 years. It's pretty clear something massive is going on. Jeez, look at how much actual... Those buildings don't even take that. It's so, perspective-wise, this is so much bigger than it looks.
Isn't it? Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I told you it was like less than a third, or right around a third of the space. So it's really not that much space on top.
They could still land planes on that. Incredible. All right, and then... Sorry, guys. I don't know what... I think I may need a new cord or something. This thing is, like, super sensitive. Tied in there or something. All right, and then NATO says it increases its forces on Russia's doorstep. NATO has announced it will boost its forces on the eastern flank amid Vlad's brutal conflict with UKR. They say it's brutal, but then again, he's failing miserably and he's got his tail between his legs. It all depends on if they're about to ask for money, right? Which they just gave them another $1 billion. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said, we made clear that all countries have the right to choose their own path without outside interference. Vlad's aggression is a game changer, so NATO must maintain credible deterrence and a strong defense. So NATO is saying that, and that includes U.S. troops, that includes troops from the U.K., includes troops from all over, all of our NATO partners, that we are increasing our troops on their doorstep around their country. We're surrounding them. It almost seems like we're about to invade them. Dex, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So we've pushed to this front before, and I thought we had plenty because we said we had to have enough there to thwart off, any aggression from Vlad. And then we've turned around and we say, well, look, they can't even get past the eastern side of UKR. Look at all the failure, et cetera, et cetera. So now we're pushing even more to the border as if there's a threat or a concern. Like we didn't have enough the first time. I thought that's what why they told us they did the first round was to make sure we had enough. And now they're telling us they need more. Now maybe it's just for show, and that's fine.
Well, just remember all of those ships that resupply those were all getting loaded up like they were going into a fresh new battle. And now this, we told you that about 3 weeks ago. And then now all of a sudden they're saying they're deploying massive troops. And by they, I mean NATO. So NATO is going to be using all of our NATO allies and grabbing people from all over, picking from this. So I don't know. Who knows? This could be a much bigger number than what they are putting out there, because again, it could be 10,000 just for us. It could be 10,000 from these guys, it could be over 100,000 troops. They don't, sometimes they'll tell you how many, but in a lot of cases they don't. And then what is up with this stock photo? Is that an actual attachment? If somebody can tell me in the chat. Is that what they practice with the orange tip, so you know it's a fake gun, or is that an actual attachment? First one in chat that gets it has good luck. All right, third American missing in UKR. Says a third former U.S. serviceman has gone missing in UKR, has been identified, but his whereabouts remain unknown. Family and friends of Grady Kirpasi, who served in the Marine Corps for 20 years, last heard from the veteran on April 24th, is now missing. It says, according to a report, Kirpasi arrived in UKR to volunteer alongside UKR forces on March 7th. His last known location was in the Kherson region on southeastern UKR. It says where he manned an observation post, and in late April. It says for him personally, he has a skill set that he feels he can give back. George Heath says, a family friend of Kirpasi. It says he wanted to go and help the UKR people. He wasn't really planning on fighting. Yeah, okay. If you're going to volunteer, they're going to put you on they're going to put you in the front lines, I would assume. It's and by the way, his skill set, it's like what's his face in the Taken. I have a very particular skill set, and it's fighting conflicts I know nothing about. It says State Department spokesman Ned Price said on Thursday that the department is aware of the third missing American in UKR and is in touch with the family. So hopefully, if we don't know what is Ganda and what's not, there were 2 previous ones, and weren't they? They weren't sentenced to death, were they? Was that the 2, or was that some 2 other guys from?
There was 2 UK ones that were going to be sentenced to that. But then there just recently we reported, I think yesterday or the day before, 2 U.S. The first 2 U.S. ones were captured. And of course, now they're worried that they may be sentenced that way. And of course, this is a third, but the third we don't know the status, if he's been captured, if he's, just hiding out or hadn't found his way back or something else that's worse.
Well, as far as if this is, as far as the validity of this guy, and if it's not tall tale, praying for him that he's not injured and he's a human being. Speaking of which, did you put that story? Can you add into
Yeah, I'll get it.
Screener? What I'm talking about. Vlad's much hyped speech delayed due to massive cyber attacks. Pay attention to that one. Real quick, I do want to remind you guys, if speaking of cyber and everything else, it is very apparent that obviously things are going on in current events right now that have a lot to do with this. So I'd hope that most people are actually looking into this. We do believe that this may save lives in the event of an EMP or a CME. We really do think that people should be protecting themselves, and I believe actually if everyone did this, it would make everybody else safe too. This would actually help in general. If the entire United States, let alone UK, Australia, wherever you're at, if everyone ended up doing this, then it would be better for all of us, because people would not be down and out and desperate and stealing and looting and doing whatever, because they wouldn't have all of their devices fried in an EMP. In fact, I think this should be something that's standard when you buy a house. They say, okay, well, you've got a handicap ramp that's required, and you've got an EMP, you guys get what I mean. Or the stairs have a railing. It's to code. You can rent it out. Well, if you're going to rent out a place, it's got to have an EMP shield on it. Because at this point, it is such a high threat, I don't understand why this isn't even required now. They are trying to improve our country's grid, but they are not doing it at breakneck speed. That's to say the least. EMP shield is actually involved in that movement of trying to make the grid better, but it takes years. We are talking about a very old grid that is already overstrained, and of course now we have multiple enemies that all want to do the same kind of thing. They have all tested it. An EMP or electromagnetic pulse could very well possibly knock out our entire grid. That would leave upwards of 98% without power in the country. Again, that 2% being the critical military. So very big deal here. If you want to protect your personal self against this and want to protect your car, your boats, your motorcycles, your RVs, your home, your devices, they have a device for everything that you want to keep running after an EMP or a CME. This also can protect anyone in the Midwest from lightning. As far as lightning strikes, this can actually ground the signal in 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your devices. This is the same company that's outfitted agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll get our grandfathered in $50 off discount per device. And not only that, it is stacking on any sale that they ever run. So again, there's lots of holidays coming up. Make sure to grab one on a holiday because it will most likely stack. All right. And then this is a big deal because of obviously the red lines that have been put out there, and nobody believes anything right now. But by the way, man, how short is Vlad? What is he, like 5'3"? Or are these guys like 7 feet tall? Is this Alice in Wonderland? What am I looking at here? Let's see here. Vlad, much hyped speech at St. Petersburg International Economic Forum was delayed on Friday after, quote, a massive cyber attack, the Kremlin has announced. It says Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told journalists in an impromptu conference call that the speech would be postponed by an hour due to distributed denial of service, or a DDoS attacks on the conference's system. It says, unfortunately, today, due to massive DDoS attacks on the forum system, the base of accreditation and admission were disabled. Now, by the way, a country could do that to themselves to give them a reason to actually respond to something that hasn't happened. But I highly doubt that that's what's going on here, because there is many reasons many of the countries could have done this. Any nation state could have done this, and any nation state could have probably made it look like it's another state. So that's what scares me about the whole cyber warfare thing is, so say there's a massive attack that wipes out something in Vlad country. They could make it look like it was the U.S. even if it wasn't, and then all of a sudden their actual response, so say they respond with missiles or something, could go to who they said did it. So this is pretty trippy. Dex, this is a big deal as far as where they attacked and what computers they were actually going after.
Yeah, certainly. And it's also things we were talking about not seeing much on their end from the cyber events, right? Like, we expected to have a lot of activity of cyber things happening to Western allies or even in UKR themselves. And we haven't really seen that since the invasion started. So, obviously we've seen it against them, and this is yet another example of that. So we'll see how it plays out.
And then, where is the outrage? I want to show you guys something. And Dex, can you actually grab the one from 2015 I sent you as well? I would like to compare this, because this is okay. Where's the outrage? And at first, when I told Dex, you didn't even believe me, because this sounds so just absolutely nuts. Okay, so what this is UKR soldiers are raising money by writing custom notes on artillery shells for $40 before firing them at Vlad. First of all, it's not going to hit Vlad, right? It's going to hit soldiers, which are human beings, which aren't the government. They're people like us. They're human beings. And there is collateral damage in a ton of these things going back and forth. There are children perishing. But in general, I want to make this a clear comparison, and I'm going to grab this other piece. Does this sound familiar? Because this has happened before. And it doesn't matter if it was Vlad doing the same thing and they were raising $40 to send it to us, or any combination. You're writing a custom note on a shell that may hit and take out families. Where is the outrage here? Nobody has outrage on this. Why? Because look at what they have turned these people into. Now, if you were living in Vlad country, you were conscripted, you were forced to fight, and you get hit with this, like, are we cheering that on? Or if it hits a townhome or something. And by the way, there have been exchanges on both sides of the country. So, but check this out. But everybody's saying because it's the evil this and this and that. But these are still human beings, and now people are actually paying to put a message to say F you to these people. Let me show you something else. So Dex, and what's crazy is I found another piece. This might sound familiar because it's happened before. In 2015. And from Paris with love, emotive notes written on U.S. missiles before heading to ISIS. And of course, I say that on purpose. Okay? From Paris with love. And what is ISIS, right? The most evil, just absolute. And basically now in today's world, this is the new ISIS. And they've compared them in every way. Is that the truth, though? He's a bad guy, that's for sure. But are the people that these are going to hit, are they being told by their media that this is a special military operation, that they're saving people? I mean, I'm sure some of them believe it, right, Dex?
Yeah, so this is for those in the military, they'll tell you this is a common thing. Like, I think the big outrage is the fact that they're raising money around it.
Yeah,
so you can go back
for
2,000
donations.
years. You can go back to 2,000 years. We have been inscribing things on our munitions as a tactic in fighting, even back to the early days of rocks, all the way to, there's probably people out there right now who have inscriptions on their rounds that are stored in their safe, right? They've scribbled something on it, or they've even engraved something on it. It's actually gone back for a long time, and you've seen these probably even in old conflicts. The second great conflict, there was people would paint
on the
things
nuke.
on the side of the on the nukes, on the side of the bombs, but I've yet to hear somebody say they're raising money by doing that. That's what's kind of the big shift here. It's not uncommon that the soldiers will go out there and write something on there. I mean, and God bless them, they're the ones having to fly up there and deal with all of it, right? So, but yeah, it's the whole notion of raising funds that way is kind of a weird one, I think.
Well, no, that's my entire point. They're taking donations, and then people, just regular people. So if you want to spend $40, you can write a message for this shell. You get a picture of your shell, and then that shell is going to be launched and possibly take people out. And you don't know where it's actually being launched. Is it going to hit a soldier? Is it going to hit a home? Is it going to hit a naval ship, or is it going to hit a neighborhood? You don't know. I'm just surprised that this is definitely putting them. It's all kind of this thing to make us red in the eyes, just blood in the eyes. We just want so much hatred. Mind you, everybody, doesn't matter who we were in this with, these are human beings on both sides, and I can't imagine the kind of messages that are being wrote. I get that, like painting, on the nukes or on the missiles, painting a lady on the bomb saying, from Vlad with love, or vice versa, right? But taking donations for it, wow. All right, and then, by the way, thank you, Joseph Newhouse. Bro, is that even a photograph? Oh, shoot, this was 19 minutes ago, so I'm assuming that it's on this. I don't know. It actually does kind of look like it's altered or something. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, though. Let's see here. Bible Talk 777. The leaders were probably asked if they would follow orders if asked to off citizens when SHTF happens, which is coming soon. They probably said no. Well, that was under my thought too. Or if they asked them, do you remember right on the transition, they were saying, who do you support? And they were marking people that supported certain persons after the 6th. Kevin Toohey, thank you so much, and everybody else that has popped in so far. I do want to say a very special thank you to Irish Rebel. I appreciate the support tonight and every night. I appreciate you. And Ninja Squirrel, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then Bible Talk 777, again, Jacob Winter says, I don't fear for myself, but I do fear for my children's future. Thank you, Adam and Dex. God bless. Kathleen Sims says, God bless you, Dex, Foogle fam. I send light and love. MSM Kathleen. Well, thank you so much. And again, Kathleen. Let's see here. Ron and Rachel Cole. Hey, Adam, asymmetrical preparedness. I will check that out. Sage of the Fire. I have friends that have worked for Amazon. Amazon has a strict point system that is not only applies to attendance, but also trips to the restroom. Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's how he became a billionaire, right? Being a totalitarian company. God bless all in this house. Stephen McMahon, thank you so much. And thank you. And Backwoods Ingenuity. Hey, Adam, long time no see. Sorry to hear about the kitty. I hope you, Dex, and your families are doing well. Live free, travel light, work hard. Hey, Backwoods, it's nice to see that very familiar sentence there. Yes, Kitty is actually in our... I don't know what else we would do. The cat is now currently in the freezer because we're going to go bury it. We're going to have a funeral tomorrow. Is that wrong that I had to put it in the freezer? I mean, Dex, have you ever done that? Had to do that? You can't let it.
No, I haven't done that. I haven't had to do that. I've never had that experience, but doesn't sound illogical if you're trying to sustain some time.
Well, yeah, we couldn't. We wanted. My daughter wants to bury it at the family property because, we may not be here forever. So we're gonna go to the family property and we're gonna have my daughter's first funeral. And the thing is I believe it was probably stillborn. By the time I got upstairs, I tried doing stuff too, and it just wasn't moving. There was no heartbeat. There was no breath. I did CPR on a kitten, which was the first for me. I breathed into its nose. I did what it said, and I even after it was done, I did compressions, which at first it said not to do that. But I mean, it was done. And then my cat, the last 2 times, has only had 1 kitten, which is rare, especially since she was out the whole time. There was multiple times, and each time she's had 1. Now it seems like she's still pregnant, and it's been 24 hours. So we're waiting, and she keeps pacing. She keeps panning. She keeps doing everything like she's about to have another kitten. I don't get it. Usually it's within 4 hours or with so many hours. Now we're worried that she still has something, one of them in her. But it's just, it was a good opportunity because we are so blessed to wake up every morning just alive. And my daughter, this is her first instance of seeing death and understanding. And my 2-year-old doesn't even understand. The 2-year-old, even today I said my phone is dead, and she goes, Kitty is dead. And I just go, oh my gosh, we say dead when we talk about our phones, but she doesn't even understand what that means. She goes, where's the kitty? She doesn't get that it's not going to wake. Can you wake it up? Can you wake up the kitty? It's not going to wake up. That was a super hard conversation yesterday. Joseph Newhouse, thank you. And they're hiding the launch systems on the deck. Ninja Squirrel, that makes sense. In fact, because there's nothing else on that deck. That makes perfect sense. Okay. Because there's probably high-tech stuff that they don't want people to see. Okay. That totally makes sense. All right. And then, Dex, let's cover the web only. We've got a bunch of it.
Yeah, head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open the description on YouTube and click on show notes. It'll take you right here. First thing, don't forget the off-grid giveaway. Make sure you click to enter. There's 6 different ways. You get 6 different entries. You can come back every day. Make sure you're entering and getting that opportunity. $380 backpack. When you're there, scroll down to that overflow, that web content. So lots going on, comparisons to Watergate going on. Of course, everybody, there's a lot of conversation around that whole event that they've been covering from a couple years ago now, year and a half ago. So that's there. More updates around the bang bangs. I know I've said that every day. We try to keep an update of what's happening there, who's talking what. A Texas senator was booed significantly today over it. So go figure out what's going on there. Updates around Elon, updates on Yellowstone, updates on other politicians and what's happening there, and even some stuff around supply chains. So plenty of additional things. This is where the rest of the story happens. So everything we don't cover, it falls right into here. It's in this section on our website. So make sure you go marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show. It's very easy. Click on the thumbnail for last night's show if you missed that one, and go look at all of the other content that's there. Open the description on YouTube. It's so easy. It's show notes. It's the link. First link right there.
Belief in God in U.S. dips to 81%. I wonder why. Jeez. All right, you guys. Love you so much. Thank you, everybody that came in. About 3,500 made it. Thank you so much. We will see you again very, very soon. Make sure to tune in to Marfoogle News over the weekend. Again, that is where I would be doing Saturday or Sunday videos. So make sure to subscribe to our other channel. That is the one. It's closing in. If we only get a few more, I believe we're about to hit 220,000. Thank you, everybody. Again, 220,000 amazing people out there. Every 1,000, I am just absolutely feel blessed to have you guys as part of this. And thank you guys. We are getting there, and this is a group effort. This is everybody in the Foogle fam. You guys should be proud of this too. So thank you, everybody. It is now time. Dex, what time is it again? It's for the...
Well, it's not a shout out.
It's not a shoutro. Wait. It's not a shout out. It's a...
It's not an outro.
No, because I did the out. You did outro. I did shout out. Now you do the...
It's a shoutro.
We got to rehearse. All right. Bye, guys. Love ya. Thank you, Stephen McMahon, Ninja Squirrel, Irish Rebel, and everybody else that popped in tonight. Thank you for supporting Marfoogle News. Thank you for liking and sharing and getting it out to everybody else. Got the Bible Talk 777 Joseph Newhouse. Everybody. Backwoods Engine New. I got one for you. Afghanistan on the world.